Hi, Gearslutz. Here we are at AES show in New York 2019. We're actually just wrapping the show right now. It was a great buzz, you know, talking to sound designers, to talking to mixing engineers about object-based mixing for live world, object-based mixing, and for a variety, obviously, of market, talking about VR, about music creation. So what we have here in front of you is actually SPAT Revolution, a project that got released 2 years ago, providing an actual workflow to doing object-based mixing. And we're not here talking about specific formats really like Dolby Atmos. We do support speaker arrangement on the Dolby Atmos side, but as well as a variety of standard speaker arrangement and all the way to custom speaker arrangement. We are creating ambisonic content. We're creating channel-based content. We're creating binaural content with the SPAT Revolution software. It is a standalone application. And then actually in the creation process, this standalone application on the same computer than your DAW will actually, basically gets bonded with something that's called the SPAT send, the SPAT return. So you get out of the DAW and you get back to the DAW. So SPAT kind of inserts in the equation. Number one, so you're doing your local audio routing. Number two, by using the SPAT send plugins on that DAW, all the parameters of the object, the parameters of this object in the space, for example, right? It could be the position, it could be the perceptual factor. We have a long list of parameters, and I'm not going to go through them today, but all these parameters actually are accessible to the DAW to write full automation on a timeline. We're talking about the linear solution here in this particular scenario. So what ends up happening is that on the same computer, you can be, your DAW is driving your audio that's going into SPAT, these objects, right? They could be a single channel, or it could be an actual stem, that becomes an actual object, a mono object, a stereo object, for that matter of fact, a surround object, an 11.1 source that gets actually spatialized, where in something that we call the actual SPAT rooms. And you can actually, on this particular screen right now, you see two rooms. One is a binaural room and the other one is an actual channel-based arrangement for this 9.1 system we have here. 2 layers of quad, for giving us some elevation, and a Zenith top speaker, voice of God type speaker above your head. So with this, we're capable of recreating a dome around the listening, the sweet spot, the listening area, the mixed position potentially, but the zone where the audience is sitting. So basically on the screen, we see these software inputs that are actually feeding 2 of those rooms, and those rooms are what I was saying earlier, the capability to, create a stream, a channel-based stream that we're listening into here, or the binaural stream. And because the sources are actually hitting both rooms, what's happening is that the properties are the same. So if I move the objects into a room, it's actually moving on the other room at the same time. Why is this important? Well, it's actually important because if you're actually listening in binaural audio and prepare some content offline on a plane, on a laptop somewhere, or in a studio, you can do it in binaural audio. But while you're doing this, you're actually moving these objects in the actual channel-based arrangement as well, or in the ambisonic room as well. So the ability to create multiple streams at the same time and bounce everything back at the end to be able to have some deliverables, right? Binaural deliverable being a channel-based deliverable, basically returning an Atmos, returning a 5-1, returning a left-right, returning a binaural, returning an ambisonic, for that matter of fact, all the way to 7th order, that 3D. That we can do with the SPAT. So today at the show, and for the last 3 days, we've been talking about the different workflows, the different DAWs that we integrate, the creation process, and as well as SPAT as a real-time engine as well in live application. When you're not necessarily in the linear domain, but you're in a non-linear show control style, QLab, or we actually have an integration with merging technology, Ovation playout system as well that we're showing. So what happens in this scenario there is, think about the sound designer that wants to create content. Well, the tools like a QLab and Ovation are perfect for that. You can start to put some audio cues, fire them, do some automation, prepare some automation in binaural audio as you're on the plane, as I was saying, or in a studio on a smaller setup. And then your show is getting built to eventually obviously use it live. For example, we've been dealing recently with entertainment, different type of entertainment shows. They're actually using the SPAT Revolution engine, and potentially 2 engines, a main and a backup for live performances. And in these particular scenarios, well, we may have a tracking system that we can integrate, that actually is following maybe an artist on stage. So anyway, there's a lot of different scenarios possible. So the show was about, talking about these different workflows for linear and nonlinear, your writing OSC automation to Ovation system, QLab network Q, and the 2D map that I actually had on screen earlier. That allows me to draw actually a path for that actual object. So various ways to create your automation, your sound. On the left side here of me are actually 2 iPads. And the reason they're there, we're kind of doing some prototyping of some Lemur controller, or I should say iPad controllers. We have here a little tool for actual snapshot creation. Another tool, which is kind of cool, it's a multi-pickup, so you can grab multiple source. Let me do it on the screen, which would be better. And maybe with some audio. Right? You saw me, I actually can grab multiple sources with my finger with this multi-point. We have another one that's actually called a remote, which basically is you taking control of a source. And why are these tools great? Well, because they're great, because they're sending the position, whatever you're doing, to the SPAT, but it's actually going to be writing. If you actually have a Pro Tools or Reaper recording automation, you'll be recording automation. It can do some live move there. So kind of complete, workflow proposed for content creation, for deliverables, and as well as being a live engine for show business. Interesting stuff going on. I could go on for hours. Probably the best thing is for you to hit SPATRevolution.com. You can actually get some NFR licenses, demo licenses to get going, to try, to listen. I can even talk about the reverb engine as well. Now, I'm not going to get there too deep, but every single room has a reverb engine, which is a very important aspect of localization. We actually going to be taking the early reflection of that source with the reverb engine and localizing them in the space. So that helps reinforce the sense of localization. Anyway, that's SPAT Revolution, SPATRevolution.com. Download an actual license. You can actually put a pair of headphones, put a source in it, start to play with the object properties, and there you are starting to learn this actual workflow. And we look forward to having you as a potential subscriber to SPAT Revolution. We deliver a subscription for monthly use or actually for annual use as well, as much as selling perpetual licenses for projects. Thanks to Gearslutz for being here today. We're actually sending you on the audio right now, a binaural audio feed. We're not too sure if it's actually rendering great or not, but it should be rendering. You're actually listening on the audio in the background to this binaural audio that we're generating from SPAT Revolution with Pro Tools in this case, but that's just the one that we happen to use. Thank you, Gearslutz, SPATRevolution.com. We're here at booth 402 at AES New York and looking forward to another show next year. Thank you.